I want to welcome all of the JUS TV viewers. We have a very exciting special feature for you today. We talk a lot about the rise in entrepreneurship, the prevalence of entrepreneurship within immigrant communities, but that's no more as apparent as it is right here in New York City. And I'm so excited that today we're sitting with the principal of New York City's Small Business Services Commission, Commissioner Kevin D. Kim. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Ash. Thank you for having me here. Sat Shri Akal.
And Commissioner, you know, when we talk about small business services here in New York City, this is such a massive endeavor, a massive program that has a ton of resources for folks. But often the feedback that we get as community media is folks don't have a proper understanding or an awareness of all the work that SBS is doing to uplift them and empower them as entrepreneurs. So I'm really excited to get some of this information from you today. First of all, when you journeyed from being a son of immigrants, working with your community locally, both in a professional as well as a social capacity, and you ended up at SBS, how did you feel coming into this position in terms of how you could use your background to help those very communities out of which you were once a member?
Yes. Well, Ash, first of all, thank you for just coming to SBS and interviewing me, because part of my message and the agency's mission since I've been here is to really get the word out to the immigrant community. And the AAPI community is in particular in need of this message, because people don't realize 23% of all New York City small businesses, of the 200,000 small businesses in New York City, are actually owned by AAPI community members. And a lot of this goes back to my own personal story. In 1975, my parents immigrated to Sunnyside, Queens. And because they didn't speak English, they started a small business. My mother would design artificial flowers, and my father would take her designs, get on the 7 train, go into the garment district near Macy's, and just start knocking on doors of all the wholesalers that were there.
Wow.
And it took them about 7 years to really build up a business. And during that time, we lived right across the street from PS 150, where I attended kindergarten all the way through 6th grade, living in a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom. It was me, I had an older sister, and then my maternal grandmother. And the 5 of us lived there. And we just did what we were supposed to do, which was be a good student. You know, our parents said, education, education. We sacrificed, we left our homeland just so that you children could have education. So there was a lot of pressure, as many of the AAPI children know. But I think they had a vision for a better life for us. And so after they were able to build up that business, they were able to then get us to Bayside, Queens. And so I was blessed to have amazing teachers in the public school system, K through 12. And then I was able to go to Stanford and then Columbia Law School and become an entrepreneur myself. So having been the son of immigrant small business owners, and then having myself been a corporate lawyer and then transitioning into a small business owner too, I come into this position knowing how important it is for a small business in New York City from immigrant owners, how important it is for that to be successful, because it's not just about that one family. A lot of times it's about a community, and then sometimes, in my case, I'm living proof that it can also impact the city.
Yes, absolutely. So let's get right down to it. You know, coming out of the COVID recession years, the economic slump, certain parts of the country certainly felt it more than others, and New York City was one of those areas. Coming out of that, obviously Mayor Eric Adams has the blueprint for economic success, turning this into a city of yes for opportunities. I'd like for you to start out by telling us, how does SBS, the Commission of Small Business Services, specifically target minority communities and support their small businesses in the city?
So as you said, when we were coming out of the pandemic, Mayor Adams made it perfectly clear that small businesses would have to lead our economic recovery in New York City. And in the past 2 years, we've done that. Jobs are up. We have hit record levels of job creation in New York City, over 4 million jobs. Crime is down, because the mayor has always said that the prerequisite for prosperity is public safety. And so he's focused on that area, while we here at SBS has really worked with the Deputy Mayor for Economic Development, Maria Torres Springer, in executing on this blueprint, as you said. We've been so proud to launch many programs that specifically targeted not just the small businesses, but in particular, the minority women business-owned enterprises, or we say MWBEs. And in that subcategory is the AAPI community of business owners that we've been really able to help. So one of the programs we're really proud of is the Opportunity Fund that you've heard of. We were able to launch the largest public-private partnership loan fund that was directed just to small businesses. And this was over $75 million, and 75% of that money went out to MWBE. So we're really proud of the work that we've been able to do there. A lot of it, again, goes back to your original question to me, is how do we make sure that the immigrant communities and the AAPI small business owners, how do they hear about this? And it's by watching shows like this. It's also by making sure that they follow us on social media. And I press this to everybody I speak to. Information is power. So many people, when we launched this program, we had 11,000 small businesses apply in 3 weeks. But if you're not on our social media pages, you would not have heard about it right away. And then you don't get the opportunity to even apply before it had to be paused. So I really want to emphasize how people need to look for that information real time to be able to access this kind of great resource government has.
And I have to say, Commissioner Kim, especially when it comes to minority communities, or we're looking at the AAPI community, you know, if they don't get something from mainstream media, we do know they are definitely receiving information on their phones from digital media, or like we like to colloquially say, WhatsApp University, Facebook University, right? So once again, this is a note for viewers to make sure that you follow SBS Services pages, their social media, for real-time information. Commissioner, you mentioned the Opportunity Fund. I'd love to hear, what other initiatives does SBS have currently that actually ensure that equitable access? So it's not just opportunity in terms of equality, but access to that opportunity.
Absolutely. So one of the biggest emphasis that SBS has been focused on since I've been here, and again, it lends to my personal background, is that my parents, when they built up their own small business, they didn't know anything about government resources. Even when I was an entrepreneur and I'd been raised and educated here my whole life, I didn't know about so many of the New York City small business services. So what we did was we focused on getting our outreach deep into the communities, and we wanted to focus on the ethnic enclaves that exist throughout New York City. So people don't often realize it's not just Little Italy or Chinatown, right? We have in this city communities like Little Yemen in the Bronx, Little Pakistan in Brooklyn, Little Columbia in Jackson Heights, and of course,
Egypt
I know I was getting there, Little Egypt in Astoria, and of course in Richmond Hill we have a big Punjabi population. So what we did was we held a roundtable there. We brought together many of the community leaders, small business owners right in Richmond Hill. We worked with the Sikh Cultural Society, and we also invited the Baba Makinsha Labana leaders and the Khalsa Community Patrol. So we had all of them come with other community leaders and small business owners into a roundtable. We had dozens show up, and that's where we said to them, not only does SBS have capital access programs where you can connect with nonprofit lenders so that if you can't get traditional financing from banks sometimes, you can come to us and we can connect you to other opportunities. There was a gentleman by the name of Moses Singh that we were able to help in this very way. He tried to go and get, for his construction company, a loan from a traditional bank. They denied him. He came to us and we were able to find him a nonprofit lender and he was able to grow his business. So we want people to understand there's capital access. There's also a program that we have called NYC BEST, so Business Express Service Team. This group helps small business owners avoid fines. They help businesses get through their licensing and permits, because if you open up a small business in New York City, there's so much government navigation involved. Red tape, you've got to go through, if you're opening up a restaurant, for example, you've got to go through the health department, the fire department, the Department of Buildings. And so We have a team here at SBS for free that can help get all of that done much faster and open up your business in half the time sometimes.
Okay.
And not only that, once you're operating, they can come into your business anytime for free that you want them to. They will walk around and show you every violation you might get if a real inspector came. It's confidential, again, it's free. And last year we helped 3,600 businesses save over $36 million through this
Wow.
program. And this year we're looking to do more. But we want people in the Punjabi community, in the AAPI community to know about these services because other people are taking advantage of it. It's your taxpayer dollars that are paying for it. We want to give access, like you said, to everybody.
Commissioner Kim, that's such a fantastic case study that you've shared with us, an example of how whether it's something as simple as a restaurant, a construction company, or even beyond, small business services is providing these resources often for free to educate and empower these business owners. We're talking about equal access to opportunity. Part of that access is, of course, as a city agency, the transparency portion of it. What measures does SBS Services have in place to ensure that there is transparency around the resources that you're providing to these various communities, so you're meeting not just those goals, but some of the mandates that are imposed by city government to make sure that minority communities receive these resources?
So what you're asking is so important because transparency in government allows for accountability. At SBS, for example, we'll always take whatever the minimum requirement is and try to do a lot more. Language access for the AAPI community is so important. By law, New York City agencies have to translate documents into 10 languages. But when we did the Opportunity Fund launch, for example, we made sure we covered over 20 languages. Now, that wasn't required by law, but we know that unless you get it in language, a lot of communities don't get access to that. So one of the other really exciting programs that we've done to leverage technology to make sure that there's more access for everybody out there is we created a one-stop shop website for anyone looking for a nonprofit lender to help them, like we did with Mr. Moses Singh. So it's called NYC Funds Finder. And on this site, this is the first time in the history of the country where you have a city that has a website that allows somebody, a small business owner, to punch in what they need, what they're looking for, describe their business, and then get on that site the local, state, and federal loan and grant programs that are available for that particular business. And of course, at the end of it, some people still aren't as comfortable with technology. There's a live financing expert that can be connected to you to answer more of your questions. And this would seem in many cases something that should have been done years ago, but it hadn't. And so the federal government, the Biden-Harris administration, picked New York City to be the pilot program. And so we're so excited to have launched this last year. We've helped almost 10,000 businesses by now just connect to different types of opportunities.
Right. Commissioner Kim, when it comes to connecting, you were sharing with us that sometimes you spend hours on the road making sure that you yourself are connecting with some of these communities at a grassroots, at a hyper-local level. Can you share some examples on how you work with community organizations and groups like a Chamber of Commerce or other small groups that communities kind of create amongst themselves to help each other? How do you connect with those folks?
So I think it is so important for me to be out there personally as well. And in the first 2 years that I've been in this role, I am so proud to have gone out to all 51 city council districts, which meant walking the commercial corridors in different neighborhoods. So as we talked about all the littles, but even in Richmond Hill, I was able to walk down the corridors with the local council member or another elected official, and we were able to talk to small business owners because they are the ones who are experiencing the challenges on the ground. And the feedback that we're able to get from them, we're able to come back here and talk to my expert group of teams that are here and then try to solve those problems. Because otherwise you end up stuck in this office building thinking, oh, this might be good for the small business owner, and this might be, and maybe it was good 5 years ago, but we've, in a different time, post-pandemic, there's storefront vacancy challenges that we're dealing with. So we were able to get out there, talk to the community, talk to the businesses, and come back and then really try to solve it on a practical way.
Commissioner Kim, you know, one part of operating and growing a small business is obviously access to resources like funding, building permits, et cetera, all of the red tape. Another extremely important component is education. Oftentimes business owners or potential business owners have a great idea, but they lack sometimes the skills and expertise to really execute. Does Small Business Services have any components that provide training or education for small business owners?
Absolutely. We have hundreds of free webinars online that people can access in multiple languages for free. We have fast track programs, we call some of them. We have also other programs that are very practical into helping you grow your business. So one of the other programs that we're very proud of here is the Minority Women Business Owned Enterprises MWBE certification program. So our agency certifies approximately 11,000 New York City small businesses who are owned by a minority member or a woman. And these businesses, we want to make sure that they get a piece of the government contracting pie. 37 billion, actually over $37 billion every year is contracted by New York City agencies to small businesses. And when you think about all that money that's going out, we want to make sure that the immigrant communities and the AAPI small business owners also get a piece of that big pie. And so in a case where we want to educate, not only do we help you get certified, but once you get certified, we want to make sure that we teach you how to connect with the actual opportunities that different government agencies have. And so there's a gentleman by the name of Sunny Singh that we were able to help. He's the owner of Adjul Electric. And so when he came to us, he didn't really understand how to get the government contracts. And so we have a free program called Selling to Government that he was able to go through and learn, oh, this is how I get contracts from the Housing Preservation Department or the Citywide Administrative Services, DCAS as we call it. And he was able to get tens of thousands of contracts as a result of that. So education is such an important piece, but we need it to be two ways. We need the AAPI community, we need the Punjabi community members to reach out and stay engaged with everything we're offering. And by watching services like this, and what you're doing is such an incredible public service, because we wouldn't be able to get that word out through the traditional channels that we've always used.
Commissioner, having this conversation with you, it's a fantastic two-way conversation. But oftentimes it feels that with government services, no matter how robust and well thought out they are, it seems like a one-way dialogue. How does SBS create that two-way communication with communities? How do you gather feedback from these communities to then refine and revise some of the programs you're working on?
So as you said, we rely a lot on our community partners. So when we did the roundtable, we were able to connect with the two largest Gurdwaras, and we know that, for example, religious institutions are very important. The chambers of commerces are very important. The merchant associations are very important. So we are there. The community board is also very important. So we are there always asking them to give us feedback. And then we have created an outreach team separately that wasn't here before I came here. As I said, if we have so many great services for immigrant communities here at SBS, but no one knows about them, then what's the point? So we created a separate outreach team who are out there every day. We have an amazing RV, it's a big truck, that is able to go out into the community and provide services right on the spot. We affectionately named the truck Moby, and Moby has his or her own social media presence as well. So this is the way we want even the younger people to kind of engage and have fun with this, but to understand that government is here for you. It's not just here for the people who are in the know. We want everybody, especially the API community, to understand the opportunities that exist here.
I mean, this is all wonderful information. We are so, so thankful, not just for your time, for sharing this with us today, but also for working on these initiatives, once again, at a grassroots level. Commissioner Kim, in closing, you know, our folks, our viewers are listening to you, watching you all over the country. I'd love for you to give us some thoughts on how other parts of the country folks can take advantage of similar resources. New York City, obviously, is leading the path in this. We're down the block from Wall Street, but we all know that America was built by Main Street. So for folks listening that are small business owners, that are from these minority communities, from the Asian American, Pacific Islander community, how can they, in their respective hometowns, cities, states, avail some of the same resources or tap into some of the same programs if they exist, like we have here in New York City?
Well, that's a really good question, and I think one of the things we realized here at SBS is we are doing a lot of innovative work for small businesses. So this year, we're actually convening the SBSs of all the major cities in the country so we can share best practices. At the same time, even if you don't live or have your headquarters in New York City, if you have a direct, what they call nexus or direct connection in some ways, whether you're doing business with some folks here in New York City, you can still see if you apply, you can be eligible for the MWBE program, which would allow you then to have access to some of these great government contracts. So we want people to know, even if you're not based right here in New York City is open for business. As you said when you started out, Mayor Adams has said, we are a city of yes, we are a city of possibilities, but especially for small businesses, we welcome you to come do business in New York City, spend a few dollars while you're visiting as well, but at the end of the day, that New York has always been the beacon of hope for immigrants. I'm living proof of it, and we want everyone to take part in this together.
Once again, Commissioner Kevin D. Kim, Commissioner of Small Business Services here in New York City, thank you so much for your time and all of the invaluable information you've shared with our viewers today. Once again, all of the information that you've heard about, you can find on the listed websites. You can get in touch with SBS directly. If you have any questions or comments for us, you can reach out to us as well. Thank you for watching.